During the 4th of July holiday, my mother-in-law Karen got greedy over a too-good-to-be-true deal, a 7-day group tour to North Korea for just $29.99. Behind her back, I canceled the reservation and upgraded her to a luxury $5,000 Hawaii vacation package. But the moment Karen saw her best friend's AI-generated travel photos from exotic places, she got it into her head that I was intentionally blocking her from seeing the world. Furious, she shoved me down the stairs. My husband Brian lied to the cops, saying I tripped and died from the fall. But when I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the very morning she was about to book that trip. This time, I wouldn't stop her. In fact, I encouraged both Karen and Brian to go together. I wanted to see just how magical North Korea really was. Sweetie, guess what? I'm going abroad. Finally gonna see the world. Karen burst through the front door with a glowing smile, not even bothering to put her bags down before announcing the big news. Where to? Brian didn't look up from his game on the couch. Push left. Idiot got the whole squad killed. Then came the sound of his team's defeat, followed by him barking into the headset, bunch of losers. Go back to farming turnips or something. I could win this with my toes. In the bedroom, I jolted awake. Looking around at the familiar decor and feeling my fully intact body, I realized it. I was alive again. Tears began to well up. I grabbed my phone. Sure enough, the date matched. I had returned to the day of that damn tour booking. In my previous life, Karen insisted on that dirt-cheap North Korea tour. I was worried about safety, begged her not to go. She didn't listen. So I quietly canceled it and booked her a luxury trip to Miami instead. She pouted through Miami, posted selfies with forced smiles, and I thought her anger had passed. But the moment she got home, she shoved me off the stairs. Said her friend sent real foreign travel photos. And was sure I wanted to trap her in this small-town wife life. Brian came home. Did he call 911? No. He helped his mom scrub the blood off the floor. I died before the ambulance ever arrived. But now I had another chance. This time, they'd pay. I walked into the living room and asked with fake cheer, "Mom, did I hear you say something about a North Korea tour? That must have cost a fortune." Brian finally glanced up, suspicious. Karen beamed, "Not at all, sweetie. Brian Jr. found it for me. The whole 7-day trip? Only $29.99. Brian frowned. That sounds like a scam. Who even offers full overseas tours for $30? He shot me a look, trying to get me to play the bad cop. I ignored him, flashing my best brown-nosing smile at Karen. "Oh wow, Mom, that's amazing. You're finally going abroad. I've never left the US either." Karen cut me off instantly. "You, a woman from a good family. What do you need to go abroad for? Your job is to earn money and take care of me and Brian." I turned to Brian. "Babe, you're not doing anything lately. Why not go with your mom? You're worried about her safety, right?" Brian hesitated. "Is that tour even legit? What if it's some trafficking thing?" Karen waved it off. "Come on, baby. You've been working so hard sitting at home. This is a chance to unwind. North Korea's air might change your luck. Besides, it's from Brian Jr. He's a manager at some international company. He's only offering this to me because we're neighbors. It's exclusive." "What international company?" "That man ran a pyramid scheme. Last time, when I called it a scam, Karen screamed at me like I'd insulted her ancestors. But now, her own son questioned it. She played sweet grandma. Karen had hated me since the day I married Brian. He was from a single-mother household, raised entirely by her. Their relationship was obsessive. The night we got married, she slept between us in our bed. She still bathed him occasionally. I begged Brian to set boundaries. He laughed it off. When Karen found out I complained, she smeared my name to all her bridge club friends. When I died, they all said I brought it on myself. Karen didn't wait for Brian's response. She grabbed her phone and messaged her bestie. "Hold another spot. Brian and I are going together." As soon as she left the room, Brian turned to me, scowling. "Wasn't I clear? You were supposed to talk her out of this. Now I look like the bad guy." I feigned a wounded look. "She's never liked me anyway. This trip is finally making her happy. It's not like it costs anything. Brian exploded. $29.99. A whole week, during a national holiday. You think that's safe? I rolled my eyes inwardly. Out loud I said, but Brian, it's from your Auntie Diane. Her company's sending staff abroad for free, even with family. And North Korea is cheap. We'd be rich there. You're handsome rich. Probably everyone there would fall for you. Maybe you shouldn't go. I might lose you. He smirked. Damn straight. I've still got it. If it weren't for your dowry, I wouldn't have settled down. Then he sighed. Fine, I'll go with her. But send me $700. I'm gonna travel in style. Brian had nothing but his face. If he hadn't tricked me into getting pregnant, I never would have married him. My dad, trying to make up for the pregnancy scandal, gave them a generous dowry hoping Brian would treat me well. But right after the wedding, I had a miscarriage. Because Karen left me alone with housework while recovering. I never got pregnant again. And now Brian? Balding, greasy and reeking of body odor. I clung to his arm with faux affection. Babe, can you ask Mom to get one more spot? I'd love to go. I've never left the country either. He shoved my hand off. You're a woman. What do you need to see the world for? Men go out. You stay and earn. He stormed off to the bedroom. I sat on the couch, seething. If Brian's earning potential could feed us, we'd be living on air. Suddenly, I remembered something. We'd bought travel insurance. I might just become a very wealthy widow, and while those two went off on their luxury tour, I'd take my parents on a real one. Chapter 2. Prepping for Disaster. The next morning Karen strutted out of her room like she was heading to Hollywood, barking orders like a Broadway diva. Lindsay, get me everything on this packing list. My bestie just sent it over. I glanced at the screen. Every item ridiculously overpriced. I nodded sweetly. Sure, Mom. Then I opened up Amazon and made sure to pick the most expensive versions of everything. Hey, it's not my money. Karen was always bragging to her friends about how generous her son was. Well then, let him pay for her precious dream trip. While I was at it, I also ordered a hidden micro camera necklace, the kind that looked like a cheap pendant. I was going to make damn sure I saw what happened on that tour, with my own eyes. After that, I started scrolling through US travel deals. My mom had always dreamed of seeing the flag raising at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. Perfect. I found a deluxe Golden Week travel package that hit all the major sites around D.C. and nearby cities. I booked it. Just for the three of us. Me, my mom and my dad. Ever since I got married, Karen and Brian had acted like I was sneaking money to my parents anytime I bought them so much as a pair of socks. They didn't know that it was my parents who quietly sent me money during my miscarriage, when I couldn't work and Brian was too lazy to job hunt. This time, I wasn't letting them be treated like leeches. They deserved the world. Suddenly, Karen's voice screeched through the house. Lindsay, is dinner ready or not? You trying to starve me? From the bedroom, Brian started yelling into his mic again. Push, push. God, do you people even know how to play games? Ugh, these people didn't deserve real food. I calmly opened my phone and ordered frozen microwave meals, every single one pumped with sodium and mystery ingredients. If they were heading to North Korea, their stomachs needed to toughen up. Within 30 minutes, the chemical cuisine was here. I heated it up, plated it nicely, and laid out the table like it was a 5-star dinner. Dinner's ready, I called. Then I started packing my own things, because I had reservations at a real restaurant. Karen came out just in time to see me putting on lipstick. You're not eating here? She snapped. No, Mom. Emergency work meeting. My boss called me in. Again? What? Your company got no one else to abuse? She scoffed. Then, who's doing the dishes? Who's scrubbing the toilet? It wasn't about work, it was about not doing chores. I hesitated just long enough. Boss said triple pay, I added. On second thought, maybe I should stay Triple pay? Brian came charging out of the bedroom. You're still here? Get out. Go work. The moment they realized I'd earn more by leaving, they practically pushed me out the door. I headed to a steakhouse. Sat alone at a quiet table. Ate like a queen. Since getting married, I hadn't had a single peaceful meal. Every day it was cooking, cleaning, scraping food off plates, doing laundry, then cold leftovers for dinner. After my steak, I swung by the mall and stocked up for our DC trip. To avoid suspicion, I dropped the bags at my office. When I got home, I saw their dishes still stacked in the sink, untouched. I dumped the whole mess in the trash. I moved into the study and claimed it was for work, setting up a new life one step at a time. Then, finally, the day came. The grand departure. Karen and Brian were giddy like kids going to Disneyland. They paraded around the neighborhood announcing their international vacation, promised to bring everyone souvenirs from North Korea. Our neighbor, Mrs. Harper, a retired schoolteacher, tried to warn her. "Karen, I know you're excited, but I read some articles. North Korea's not exactly a walk in the park. You should be careful." She was trying to help. Karen exploded like a lit firecracker. "What's your problem, Harper? Mad you don't have a son taking you abroad? Ever since you moved next door, you've been jealous. Think reading a few books makes you better than me? No wonder your husband left you. Who'd want to live with a bitter old cow?" Mrs. Harper turned pale. She fainted right there on the porch. The woman had been through a lot in life. Divorced. Lived alone. Just trying to look out for others. I heard what happened and rushed to visit her in the hospital with fruit. Thankfully she was okay, just overwhelmed. But after that incident, no one dared tell Karen not to go anymore. Chapter 3. One-way ticket to nowhere. Karen and Brian rolled their luggage out the front door like they were headed to the Cannes Film Festival. Karen even made me take a farewell photo of them in front of the Uber. "You're not taking us to the airport?" she huffed. "I've got overtime," I said with a shrug. "Triple pay, remember?" I stood there smiling, half-heartedly waving goodbye as they left. But inside, I was praying, may you both never come back. The moment the car turned the corner, I dashed to the office, grabbed the travel gear I had stashed, and made my way to my parents' house. My mom opened the door. Her jaw dropped. "Sweetheart? What are you doing here?" she gasped. I ran into her arms and broke down crying. My dad came rushing in, saw me in tears, and immediately rolled up his sleeves. "Did Brian hit you? That little bastard?" "No, Dad. No, I'm okay. I just missed you both so much." He checked me over, head to toe. No bruises. No cuts. Finally, he relaxed and pulled me inside. "Wanda, our daughter's home. I'm going to get groceries. We're making her favorite dinner tonight." "No need, Dad. We're going to the airport." "The what now?" My mom blinked. I grinned. "I booked us a luxury trip to DC for Golden Week. Mom, you've always wanted to see the flag raising at the Capitol, remember?" My dad looked stunned. "Wait. Karen and Brian let you do that?" "No," I said calmly. "And I don't care anymore. I'm done living my life on their terms." He took my hand and squeezed it hard. "Good. Good girl. We're behind you 100%. Mom wiped a tear from her eye and shouted toward the bedroom. "Harold, pack your bags now. Our baby's finally breaking free." They knew. They'd known for years how badly I was being treated. They just never wanted to make it worse. Now, they were overjoyed. And for the first time since my wedding, I felt like me again. We got to the airport with no issues. Checked in, passed security, and found our gate early. While we waited, I scrolled through social media. Guess what I saw? Karen and Brian had already uploaded a selfie. Caption: "North Korea, here we come." I smiled coldly. "No, Karen. You're not going to North Korea. You're going somewhere else entirely. And you're not coming back." Just as I closed the app, the gate agent announced boarding. I tucked my phone away and stepped onto the plane with my parents. By the next morning, we were in Washington, D.C., checked into a beautiful hotel. The city was festive, the air crisp, and the Capitol stood proud and grand. We went sightseeing, snapping photos and laughing like we hadn't in years. Meanwhile, Karen and Brian never called, never texted. But thanks to the hidden camera I placed in Brian's pendant, I saw everything. They never even made it to the airport. The so-called tour group picked them up in a rusty, unmarked shuttle bus and crammed them inside with a handful of other naive suckers. At first the guide was all smiles. Cracking jokes, making promises. But the second the bus doors slammed shut, the tone changed. "All right," the man barked. "Cough up $700 each. Now." Karen's face turned pale. She glared at her friend Diane, seated up front. "Diane, you said it was $29.99. You scammed me, you lying cow." Karen lunged, ready to scratch Diane's face off. But the tour guide shoved her to the floor. "You shut up and sit down," he snarled. "Either you pay, or we dump your ass right here in the middle of nowhere." "I already paid," Karen screamed. "This is fraud. You can't do this." Slap. The sound echoed through the camera. Karen fell silent, clutching her cheek in shock. She genuinely couldn't believe someone actually hit her. No one had ever dared before. "You pay now, or the next hit goes lower," the man said coldly. "There's no cell signal, no cops. And if the wolves don't get you, the locals will." Terrified, the other passengers started handing over cash. Karen tried to hold out, until Brian, trembling, paid his share. Then the guide eyed Karen. "Don't wanna pay?" he sneered. "We could always make use of you another way." His eyes raked over her body. That did it. Karen pulled out her card and paid, hands shaking. The bus rolled on, dead silent now. No one dared speak. By nightfall the tour group had crossed a border. But not into North Korea. They had been smuggled into Myanmar. The next day I opened the camera feed again. What I saw made my blood run cold. Brian had never been this popular in his life. The moment they arrived at the hotel, a crumbling concrete shell with flickering lights and rust-stained showers, a crowd of overly made-up women greeted them with sickly sweet smiles. They weren't tourists. They weren't guests. They were bait. Brian, who used to ogle Twitch streamers and Instagram models from behind a greasy laptop screen, now had real women clinging to his arms. "Sir, you look so strong. You must be rich. American?" He practically melted. For the first time, someone wasn't calling him useless or smelly. Meanwhile, Karen was busy living her dream. She was taking selfies with every man who so much as looked at her. Locals, workers, even the hotel janitor. She posed like she was walking the red carpet. Ever since she was young, Karen believed she was destined for stardom. Back in her day, she'd been considered the prettiest girl in their small Ohio town. People used to say, "You should be in movies." And she believed them. She once auditioned for a low-budget soap opera but got cut in the first round. Blamed it on not having the right connections. After marrying Brian's dad, she gave up the dream, or so everyone thought. But TikTok reignited it. She learned filters, bought LED lights, even invested in teeth whitening strips. At nearly 50, Karen had mastered looking 35 online. But in reality, no matter how smooth the filter, her eyes gave away the years of bitterness and delusion. In Myanmar, however, no one cared. As long as she smiled, the local men smiled back. And that was enough. She was hooked. She live-streamed every moment. "This place is amazing." She cooed into the camera, voice pitched like a 22-year-old influencer. The comments rolled in. "Looking good, Karen? So cool, wish I could travel like you." Queen energy. But soon, people started noticing the background. The men standing behind Karen in her photos? They weren't smiling. They were staring. And not in admiration. One follower left a concerned comment. Is that guy behind you holding a knife?" Another wrote, "Karen, your IP says Myanmar. That's not North Korea. Are you okay?" But Karen didn't want to hear it. "Y'all are just jealous." She snapped back in the comments. "Some of you can't even leave your home states, and you're mad I'm international now." She replied to every warning with venom. Called people poor. Said women in their 20s were desperate and unfeminine. Her few remaining fans began dogpiling critics, spreading rumors about young girls who tried to intervene. But one of those girls wasn't so easily bullied. She gathered receipts, screenshots, and video captures. She exposed every fake claim, every insult. Soon Karen's little army of trolls began deleting comments and posting public apologies just to escape being sued. The damage was done. Everyone saw it now. Karen wasn't a savvy traveler. She was a delusional woman surrounded by danger and loving it. As for me, I'd moved out, signed a lease, taken the job offer from my dream company. Between onboarding tasks, I watched the hidden camera footage like it was Netflix. The nightmare was getting worse. Karen? Still playing the tourist. Still live streaming. Brian? He was practically a slave. The resort owners didn't care about his charm, or his CEO energy. They wanted labor, obedience. And when he didn't perform, they beat him. He never once tried to escape. Why would he? He was too drunk on attention, too high on local beer and false compliments, too busy with the girls whispering in his ears. Until one night, my phone rang. I answered, groggy and annoyed. Hello? Lindsay. It's me. Send money, now. $20,000, please. I blinked. Who is this? It's me. Brian, your husband. God, you can't even recognize my voice. Send it now or I'm dead. In the background, yelling, wood splintering, something heavy falling. I hung up. Scammer. Must be, right? But then, a WhatsApp video came in. I opened it. There he was. Brian. Covered in bruises. Blood pouring from a gash on his forehead. You want him back? A voice growled in accented English. Transfer $100,000 to this account. I paused. Then typed. Even if I had that money, I wouldn't give it to you. This is all his fault. He chose to go. He thought he was special. They didn't reply. But the feed didn't shut off. They just turned the camera and continued beating him. I watched without blinking. Brian had always acted like no one could touch him. Now, he cried like a child. And I felt nothing. Chapter 5, Descent into Their Own Personal Hell. Brian couldn't understand it. Just a week ago, he was lying in bed surrounded by local women, sipping warm beer, snapping selfies like some discount Hugh Hefner. Now? He couldn't move without flinching. His back was a patchwork of bruises. His stomach growled constantly from days of watered-down rice and expired protein bars. He still hadn't processed how it flipped so fast. How he went from VIP tourist to human mop. Every morning they woke him up by dumping cold water on his face. Then came hours of labor, cleaning, carrying, scrubbing toilets with bare hands. If he hesitated, a fist, a kick, or worse, the bamboo rod. At night the room he was kept in reeked of blood, sweat, and fear. Others were there too, some quiet, some broken, some already gone. Karen, meanwhile, was still trying to chase fame. After paying the extortion money, she was left alone, for a while. She put on lipstick, changed into a cheap knockoff cocktail dress, and resumed her fake influencer life. My followers love me, she told herself while editing selfies. I'm finally living the dream. She ignored the flies in the room. Ignored the fact that her followers had dropped by half. Ignored the sour stares of the women who had once greeted her so sweetly. But they weren't jealous. They weren't threatened. They were waiting for her to fall. And fall she did. It started with her phone getting confiscated. No filming in this zone, one of the men said, yanking it from her hand without warning. But I need it. My fans are waiting. I'm an American citizen. She screamed. The man just laughed. Then call your embassy. Oh wait, no phone. Brian, watching from across the courtyard, didn't lift a finger to help. He was too busy trying not to vomit from hunger. That night, Karen was approached by one of the men in charge. He smiled with too many teeth. You want your phone back? Karen nodded furiously. Then do something for me, he said. You're very pretty for your age. She froze. I'm a married woman, she said weakly. Not anymore. The next day, Karen was gone from the compound. They said she'd been sent to a special project. When she returned that night, she didn't say a word. Her dress was torn, her makeup smudged. And her phone? Still gone. But she smiled anyway. I had a great time, she whispered, almost to herself. I'm finally being noticed. Brian stared at her from his corner. His mouth opened, then shut again. He didn't ask. He didn't want to know. But the next day, when the guards ordered Karen to leave again, She turned to Brian. "Help me," she whispered. They said just once, but now it's every night. Brian didn't look at her. He couldn't. He knew what this place was now. They weren't tourists. They were products. And if you didn't have money, charm, or talent, you became useful in other ways. That night, Karen didn't come back at all. Brian asked about her. The guards just laughed. "Told you, special project." He tried to keep calm. But deep down, panic was setting in. If Karen was gone, if she wasn't bringing value, then who was next? The guards were already growing tired of Brian. He wasn't earning them anything. He was too soft to fight, too lazy to work. One night, he overheard them talking. "Let's clear out the useless ones," one said in Burmese. "Especially that guy from Ohio. He cries too much." Brian froze. That's when he remembered. The little dog-sized hole in the fence. He'd seen it during his forced yard duty. Too small for his usual self. But now, after weeks of starvation and beatings, he just might fit. He waited until the next guard rotation. There was always a 1-minute window. That night, he packed what little he had. Tried to squeeze through the hole. His backpack got stuck. He hesitated. Couldn't let go. It had a water bottle, a granola bar. But the footsteps were coming. He had no choice. He ripped it off his back, left it behind, and squeezed through. Outside the fence, the jungle yawned wide and black. He ran until the branches tore his skin, until his lungs felt like fire. But in his panic, he didn't notice the cliff. By the time they found him, it was too late. Chapter 6. The Price of a Dream. The day after Brian disappeared, the compound was eerily quiet. Karen didn't know he was gone. She was too busy recovering from whatever special project they'd sent her on the night before. When she stumbled back in, hair matted, blouse buttoned wrong, bruises blooming like black flowers on her collarbone, no one said a word. She dropped onto a mat in the corner of the room, stared at the ceiling for hours. No live stream, no makeup, no filter. Just Karen. Exhausted. Empty. And still trying to believe she was living out some twisted fantasy. She waited for Brian to bring her water. He didn't. She asked around. No one answered. One of the women finally muttered, "He ran." Karen blinked. "Ran where?" The woman shrugged. "Didn't get far, from what I heard." Karen stared at the wall. Not crying. Not screaming. Just still. Later that night, one of the guards came in, chewing on sunflower seeds. "You ready?" he asked. Karen didn't respond. He grabbed her by the arm. She didn't resist. Back in the US, I hadn't heard anything for days. No ransom demands. No angry messages. Not even a spam email from a fake charity in Myanmar. I went on with my life. Work was going great. My new apartment was quiet, clean, and mine. I kept my phone charged, just in case someone tried to contact me about Brian or Karen. But no one did. Until one morning, an unknown number buzzed my phone. I almost let it ring out, but something told me to pick up. "Hello? Is this Lindsay Carter?" "Yes." "Who's this?" "This is Officer Sung from the U.S. Embassy in Myanmar. I'm calling regarding your husband, Brian Carter." My heart didn't skip. It didn't drop. It just slowed. "Yes. What happened?" "We've been contacted by local police. According to their report, Mr. Carter appears to have died after falling off a cliff near the border. No signs of foul play. They're classifying it as accidental death." "Where's his body?" I asked. "Still at the bottom of the ravine, too unstable to retrieve. Local authorities confirmed there were no other parties involved. He seems to have left his tour group on his own." "And Karen?" There was a pause. "She's still there. According to reports, she refuses to return. Said she's found her calling." I snorted. "That tracks. Thank you for letting me know," I said calmly. "If any further documents are needed, please send them to my lawyer." There was a pause. "Miss Carter, are you all right?" I hung up. Brian's death activated his life insurance policy. Guess who the beneficiary was? Me, of course. That was why I hadn't divorced him. Not because I was afraid. Not because I thought no one else would want me. Because I had a plan. Now I was a single woman. Debt-free. Financially independent. And legally untouchable. Karen? Karen was still clinging to a lie. From what I could see through the last footage uploaded from Brian's pendant, she'd been moved to another location. She was wearing sequins again. Bright red lipstick. And a pained smile. The men who once treated her like a novelty, now looked at her like a tool. Disposable. Replaceable. She was still live streaming. But this time, behind a paywall. Something shady. Something dark. She had become content, not the creator. Her followers? Mostly foreign men now. The comments? Filthy. The tone? Mocking. But Karen kept smiling. She didn't see the pity, or the cruelty. Only the numbers going up. She's still trying to be a star, I whispered. And maybe, in her head, she was. Chapter 7. The star that wouldn't burn out. Karen had always believed that fame was worth suffering for. She'd just never imagined the suffering would come with mosquito bites, blackout bruises, and a floor mattress that smelled like wet ash. Back in the States, she used to pose in front of mall dressing room mirrors and caption her selfies #booked and busy. Now, she posed in a seedy basement with fake velvet curtains and LED strip lights, live streaming to anonymous men with usernames like CreepDaddy82 and FIST0FJUSTICE. And the worst part? She still thought she was winning. They love me, she whispered into the camera, running her fingers through her tangled hair. They say I'm elegant, mature, experienced. The comments flooded in. Spin around, Grandma. Let's see the whole package. I got $10 if you bark. She did. No hesitation, just a little fake laugh, a quick pose, and then a bark. She was no longer Karen. She was Madam K, a 48-year-old American sensation in the underbelly of the internet. And she told herself it was fine, because at least someone was watching. At least someone cared. But when the cameras went off, no one looked at her, not even the guards. They barely spoke to her anymore, unless it was to direct her toward the next degrading job. And Brian? Still no word. They hadn't told her he was dead. One night? She asked. Where's my son? I mean, my husband, Brian. Where is he? One of the girls glanced up from her corner. You didn't hear? Hear what? The girl didn't answer. Just looked down and picked at her cracked nail polish. That silence broke something in Karen. The next stream, she didn't put on her lashes. She didn't curl her hair. She didn't say hi sweethearts, in her fake breathy voice. She just stared at the camera. The comments rolled in anyway. They asked her to strip. To dance? To cry. She did all three. Back in the US, my life was finally starting to feel real. No Karen. No Brian. No constant pressure to explain why my paycheck was spent on groceries they ate while I went hungry. My parents and I visited DC, saw the monuments, walked the National Mall at sunset. Mom cried during the flag ceremony. Dad bought a magnet that said, Land of the Free, and stuck it on his old mini fridge. We were finally free. One day after work, I stopped by a small bookstore and saw a self-help title that made me freeze. The Narcissist's Mirror. When delusion becomes identity. I flipped it open. Some people would rather live in a fantasy world where they're the star, even if it means dancing in a nightmare. The illusion of attention becomes their last drug. I bought the book. That night, I got a message on Instagram. A private account. No profile photo. Madame Karen. Hi sweetie, can you send me $200? I need makeup. And new tights. For the stream. The men like red. And glitter. Please. They said I'm still beautiful. Brian isn't here, but I know he's watching. You're watching too, right? She still didn't know. And I wasn't going to be the one to tell her. I didn't reply. I just blocked the account. Then I opened my notes app and typed a single line. Some stars aren't born. They're manufactured by delusion, and they burn until there's nothing left to shine. Chapter 8. The final broadcast. Karen was still alive. Still streaming. Still pretending. The room around her had changed again. Smaller now. Barely big enough for the mattress, the camera stand, and a ring light with a cracked bulb. Her face was gaunt, makeup caked into the creases she used to filter out, but she still logged in, still greeted her viewers with the same hollow sparkle. "Hi sweethearts. It's Madam K. Did you miss me?" Most of the comments were bots now, the rest were trolls. She didn't notice. Or maybe she did, and just didn't care anymore. She held up a glitter eyeshadow palette with broken hinges. "Today we're doing a silver smoky eye. This is Brian's favorite. My husband, my baby boy." Her voice trembled at the end. She dabbed on the shadow with a dirty brush, smiling at her reflection in a cracked compact mirror. "I know he's watching, somewhere. He always believed in me." Back in LA, I was cleaning out my inbox when I saw it. A notification from Madam K's livestream platform. "You have been tagged in a broadcast." Curious? I clicked. Karen was mid-sentence. And my daughter-in-law Lindsay, oh she was always jealous. Always trying to hold me back. But I forgave her. I forgive everyone. She smiled straight into the lens. "I know you're watching, Lindsay. You always were. You tried to keep me from shining, but I'm still here. I'm still a star." Then her eyes glazed over. Her smile wilted. A pause. Too long. The silence turned uncomfortable. "I miss Brian," she whispered. "Why hasn't he called? Why won't he text me?" Another long pause. No music. No effects. Just the sound of a fan buzzing in the background. Then she said it. The truth she'd avoided all this time. Is he really gone?" The comment feed was dead. Not a single response. The entire internet held its breath. Karen blinked slowly. She reached forward and turned off the ring light. The room dimmed. She didn't end the stream. She just walked off screen. We heard a door creak, a rustle of clothes, a final sigh. Then the stream cut to black. 2 days later, I got another call. Same Myanmar number. I let it ring, then answered. "Miss Carter," the voice said softly. "This is the U.S. Embassy. We have news about Karen Walker." I said nothing. I didn't need to. She's passed. Officials say it appears to have been natural causes, malnutrition, dehydration, exhaustion. No signs of foul play. Of course not. The truth was simpler than murder. She had burned herself out from the inside. "Do you wish to claim the remains?" they asked. "No," I said. She wouldn't want that. She wanted to die famous. There was a pause. "Understood." 3 months later, I walked through a quiet art exhibit downtown. The theme, the performance of self. One installation stopped me cold. A looping projection of a woman. Blurry, pixelated, with heavy makeup and forced smiles. "Karen." A title card read, "Madam K. The last stream. Artist unknown." Below it, a plaque. A haunting portrait of identity, denial and digital decay. She thought she was loved. She thought she was watched. She died still performing. I stared for a long time. Then turned away. As I walked out into the LA sun, my phone buzzed. A new deposit. Insurance payout from the embassy. Enough to start over again. No Brian. No Karen. Just me. Free. Alive. And finally, shining. The end.